We continue now at the top of Daf Chav Beis Amud Aleph Meseches Makkos. This is Makkos Daf 22a. On the previous summit, the Gemara said that there's no chilik melachas when it comes to yontiv, meaning if a person violates more than one melacha, he's not going to be chayiv on each one. And the Gemara is in the middle of asking on this from a brisa. The brisa is talking about a case of a person who's mevashel the hanosha with cholav, together with milk on yontiv, and he eats it. And so there's a number of violations, and the brisa finishes and says, Mishum havara, there's also a violation of burning. And so you have here two violations in terms of yontiv. You have cooking and you have burning. Rashi, rather the Mefarish, explains Mishum Havor dihavi iu mavir v'chaveru mevashel. Let's say he would have been the one to light the fire, and his friend would cook. Havitarvayu chayav, and then they would both be chayiv. To mavir umevashel avos malachas, because mavir and mevashel are avos malachas. Alma mechayev mishum yontiv shtayim havaru bishel. And you see over here again that you're chayiv two on yontiv. You're chayiv because of havora, and you're chayiv because of bishel. And so the Gemara continues and asks Vim Isa. Now, if it is really true that there's no chilik melachas when it comes to yontiv, misham havara lo mechayiv, so the person shouldn't be chayiv in terms of burning because he's already chayiv because of mevashel. Do I chayiv le misham bishulo, because he's already chayiv because of bishul. And the Gemara continues and answers, you're right. According to this, you'll have to say apik havara. If we're going to say that there's no chilik melachas when it comes to yontiv, take out havara. There's not going to be an additional liability because of havara, because there's no chilik melachas on yontiv. And instead, that last liability v'ayil, and bring in the following as the last liability. Gid hanosha shel nevela. We're talking here specifically that the gid hanosha came from a nevela, so you're going to get malchus also because you ate from a nevela, from an animal that was not killed through a proper shchita, just died on its own. But the Gemara continues, V'atani Rabbi Chia, but didn't Rabbi Chia teach, Lo keshtayim al achila, so that in this case, again, this whole case of mevashel gid hanosha and yontiv and eating it with basar b'cholav, you're going to get malchus 2 for eating it, v'shalosh al bishulo, and then there are 3 in terms of the cooking. Now the problem is, if we're going to say that we're taking out havara and putting in gid hanosha of nevela, v'isa, if it's really true that we're doing that, shalosh al achila so hu chayiv, he's actually going to be chayiv 3 on eating it, because we're taking away havara and we're adding a violation in terms of eating it. And so the Gemara says, you're right, Ella rather, apik havora, take out havora, va'ayil atzei asherah, and instead bring in atzei asherah. If you have atzei asherah, you're going to burn those. That would be in the category, again, of bishul, and that's going to be a problem to use atzei asherah, the wood of an asherah tree, for this purpose, v'azarasei miyacha, because the warning comes from here, it comes from the following pasuk, v'lo yidbak biyarcha, you can't take anything, v'lo yidbak biyarcha mu'uma min hacherim, so you can't take anything from the asherah, from the avodah zarah, and use it for your purposes, and that's why it is a problem. But the Gemara continues and asks, Samarle Ravacha Brei de Rava Ravashi, Ravacha the son of Rava said to Ravashi, if you're going to say that you're using Atzei Asherah and there's a prohibition of getting benefit from the Atzei Asherah, but then there's another prohibition, Velilki Nami Mishum Lo Savi Toevel Beisecha, you should also get Malchus because it says you shouldn't bring an abomination into your home. So that would be an additional Malchus, it wouldn't work with the Brisa. And so the Gemara instead says, Alahacha V'mayaskin, and rather here what are we talking about? Kegon Shebishlo Ba'atzei Hektish. The case over here is the wood was not from an Asherah tree, but it was actually wood of Hektish. And the warning comes from here, from the following pasuk: "V'asherayim tisrafun ba'esh." You should burn the asherah, but lo sasun kein laHashem elokechem. Don't do that to Hashem. You can't use wood of hektish for this purpose. And the Mefarish explains, "V'asharas atzei hektish mehacha." The warning for atzei hektish comes from the following: "V'asherayim tisrafun ba'esh." It says that you burn the asherah, but lo sasun kein laHashem elokechem. You can't destroy. You cannot burn the atzei hektish. And the Gemara continues at the 2 dots. Maskif lo Rav Hoshi. Rav Hoshi asks on the Mishnah. Again, the Mishnah had a situation where a person was plowing and there were 8 violations of negative commandments, and now the Gemara is going to ask a series of questions. Why don't we add in other violations? So, for example, V'lichshov nami hazoreya b'nachalesan. Why not have that the person is planting b'nachalesan? Nachalesan was the area where they would do the egla rufa, and there's a warning not to plant there. V'azharasei mehacha. The warnings from here, from the following pasuk: Asher lo yeyavid bo v'lo yizareya. It can't be an area that's worked or planted. Maskav lo Rav Chananya. Rav Chananya asks the following: V'lichshov nami. Why not also add into the Mishnah another violation? Hamochek es Hashem b'halichaso. Maybe as he was walking, he erased the name of Hashem. V'yazarasei mehach. And the warning comes from here, from the following pasuk: V'ibadatem es shemam. You should destroy the names of the avodah zarah, but lo sasum kein laHashem elokechem. You can't destroy the name of Hashem. Maskav lo Rabbi Avo. Rabbi Avo asks: V'lichshov nami hakotzes es ba'araso. Maybe we should also say that somebody, while they're plowing, if they cut off their tzaras, that's also a violation. The warning comes from here, from the following pasuk: Yishamer b'nega hatzaras. Be careful with the nega tzaras. Maskef lo Abaya. Abaya asks the following question: V'lichshov nami hameziach hachoshen me'alu ephod. Maybe again, while he's plowing, he moves the choshen away from the ephod. V'hameser b'adei yaron, or let's say he removes the staves of the yaron. Ve'azarasei mehach. And the warnings come from the following psukim: V'lo yasuru, v'lo yizach hachoshen. It says lo yasuru by the b'adei yaron. It says lo yizach hachoshen. Maskef lo Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi asks the following question: V'lichshov nami hachoresh ba'atzei asherah. Why not have that he's plowing with the atzei asherah, with wood from an asherah tree? Ve'azarasei mehach. And the warning comes from here, from the following: V'lo yidbak b'yadcha mu'uma. Again, you can't get any benefit from atzei asherah. Maskef lo Ravina. Ravina asks: V'lichshov nami hakotzet ilanos tovos. Why not also count the violation of cutting down good trees that bear fruit? Ve'azarasei mehach. The warning comes from here: Ki mimenu tochel v'yoso lo tichros. It says you eat from it, you can't cut it down. Amar le Rabbi Zeira le Rabbi Moni. Rabbi Zeira said to Rabbi Moni, V'lichshov nami, you could go into Amar. Why not also count? For example, the person simply said, Shvua shelo echrosh b'yomtiv. He took an oath that I'm not going to plow on yomtiv, so that can be another violation. The Gemara says to that last one, Hasam over there, lo kachala shvua. The shvua would actually not be chal. It would not take effect because mushba v'yomein me Har Sinai, because he's already under oath from Har Sinai. It's already you're not allowed to plow on yomtiv, so you can't take a shvua on something that you're already not allowed to do. Amar le. So he said to him, fine, could go and damar shvua shelo achrosh bein bechol bein b'yontiv. Well, why not just have that he took a shvua, he took an oath that I'm not going to plow whether on the weekday or on yontiv, and then it would actually be chal on yontiv once it's chal on the weekday. Demigo decholo le shvua bechol. Since the shvua takes effect on the weekday, cholo le nami b'yontiv, it also takes effect on the yontiv. But the Gemara continues and answers again to this particular suggestion. Midi diise b'she'ela lo katani, something that a person can ask and undo that we don't count. You can undo an oath, and therefore that is not in this list. But the Gemara continues v'lo, but is that really not in the list? There are things that you can undo through she'ela in the Mishnah, v'arei hektish, because one of the things mentioned is that the animals were hektish, and that can be undone through she'ela. The Gemara says, no, b'bechor, we're not talking about an animal that the person made it hektish, we're talking about it was born, a firstborn, and that's how it became hektish, and so that cannot be undone. But the Gemara says, v'harei nazir, but also nazir is in the Mishnah. That's also something that a person can ask a chacham and undo that. The Gemara says, no, b'nazir shimshon, we're talking about a person who's in the status of Nazir Shimshon, a person who's at the level of a Nazir Shimshon, like a person who's born a Nazir, so that cannot be undone. But the Gemara says, one second, Nazir Shimshon, Baritz Muye Lemesamu, but a Nazir Shimshon, he's not forbidden to become Tamei Meis, so that wouldn't make sense in the Mishnah either. So still again, back to this question in terms of the Shvua, why not count Shvua Shelo Achrosh Bein Bechol, Bein B'Yontiv? And the Gemara says, Ella rather, the reason why that's not counted is Hai Tana, Isser Kola Leslie. The Tana of our Mishnah doesn't hold of Isser Kolol. Isser Kolol is when we say, well, since the Shvua was Chal on weekdays, it's also Chal on Yontiv. But the Tana of our Mishnah doesn't hold of that. Just because it's Chal on a weekday does not mean that it's going to be Chal on Yontiv. And the Mefarish explains, B'Nazir Shimshon, what is a Nazir Shimshon? Al Yedei Malach. According to the Mefarish, it's through a Malach, Kibel Nazirus Olav, that he accepted the Nazirus upon himself, Tahu Ein Lo She'ela, that Tzivoy Shalamalahu, on that kind of a Nazirus, there is no She'ela, you can't ask and undo it, because it's an instruction from above. Others say that Nazir Shimshon could simply be the person accepts upon himself a Nazirus Shimshon. But in any case, the Gemara goes on to say, Nazir Shimshon Bar Temuye Lemeisamu, is a Nazir Shimshon not allowed to be Tamei Meis, Klum Osur Hu, Lihi Tamei Lemeisamu. Is it asur to be metame meis adam shemakabel nazirus al yedei malach if he accepts it through a malach? Ha'amrina b'Meseches Nazir Shimshon huter litame lemeisim. We say Meseches Nazir Shimshon actually was able to become tamei meis, and the Mefarish offers another explanation of Nazir Shimshon. V'istim Mefarshi, some say Nazir Shimshon Nazir min habetin. It means that he's a Nazir from when he's born. V'kashalan, but that's difficult to us. Hahinami b'she'ela isei, that actually you could undo. Shaya aviv yachol ishalav, the father could ask and undo it. V'afilu meisav b'she'ela even if the father died, but at one point in time, she'ela was possible. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Hoshia says, Hamarbia shor psulei hamukdashim lo kashnayim. If somebody breeds oxen that are psulei hamukdashim, disqualified hektish, they get two sets of malchus. One is because of doing work with psulei hamukdashim, and the other, the commentaries say that it's like they have properties of both chulin and hektish, and so it's considered to be kilayim. That explains the second set of malchus. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says, Hamanhig b'shor psulei hamukdashim. Same thing if somebody guides an animal that is psulei hamukdashim, an ox that's psuli hamukdashim. Loka, again, he's going to get malchus, that's a situation of kilayim. Sharei guf echadu, it's one body. V'aso hakos of kishnei gufim, but the pasuk considers it like two bodies. Again, it has some status of hektish and some status of chulin. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Kama Malkin Oso, how many Malkus is a person given when he gets the punishment of Malkus? Arboim Chaser Achas, he gets 39 lashes. Shenemar, as it says in the Pasuk, B'mispar Arboim, what that means is Minyan Shu Samach Larboim, it means a number that is near 40, meaning 39. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Arboim Shalemos Huloka, Rabbi Yehuda says he gets 40 Malkus. Behechan Huloka Seyaseir, and where do you get that last lash, that last Malkus? According to Rabbi Yehuda, Bein Kseif, that's between his shoulders. And the Mishnah continues, Ein omdeno so ela b'makos ru'uyos lehishtalish. When we evaluate how many malchus the person should get, it has to be divisible by 3. The Gemara will explain that. Amdu lekabel arboim. Let's say they estimate that he can receive 40. Veloka mixas, and he gets some of the malchus. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Chav Beis Amid Beis.